Have you ever heard someone make fun of an accent and wished they'd get a taste of their own medicine? Well, get ready, because today we're diving into a story where that's exactly what happened, live on television. It involves a well-known American TV host, a Filipino nurse, and a moment of instant karma that is just too good not to share. It all started on a popular American talk show. The host, known for their sharp wit and sometimes controversial humor, was doing a segment on interesting news stories from around the world. One of the stories featured a clip of a Filipino nurse being interviewed. Now, this nurse was a hero, having saved multiple lives during a recent hospital emergency. But instead of focusing on her bravery, the host decided to zero in on her accent. After playing the clip, the host turned to the camera with a smirk and began mimicking the nurse's speech. He exaggerated the way she pronounced certain words, stretching out vowels and changing the rhythm of her sentences. The studio audience laughed, and his co-hosts joined in with chuckles. It was a classic case of punching down, making fun of someone for the way they speak English, a language that isn't even their native tongue. For many viewers, especially those in the Filipino community and immigrants worldwide, it was a cringe-worthy and deeply offensive moment. The backlash online was immediate and fierce. Social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook exploded with comments. People were calling out the host for his ignorance and insensitivity. Hashtags like "Respect Filipino Nurses" and "Lockers Stop Accent Shaming" started trending. Many shared their own stories of being mocked for their accents. They pointed out the incredible irony of a wealthy entertainer making fun of a healthcare worker, someone who dedicates their life to helping others, often in high-stress, demanding environments. The message was clear. An accent is a sign of being bilingual or multilingual. It's a badge of honor, not a punchline. Now, a lot of celebrities in this situation might issue a half-hearted apology through their publicist and hope it all blows over. But this story takes a very different turn. The show's producers, seeing the massive wave of criticism, decided to address it head-on. They didn't just apologize, they decided to create a learning moment. They invited a guest onto the show who would change the entire conversation. A few days later, the host opened the show looking a bit more somber than usual. He acknowledged the controversy and admitted that his attempt at humor had been hurtful and misguided. He said he had read thousands of comments and realized the deep-seated prejudice that his jokes had tapped into. Then, he introduced his guest for the day, a linguistics professor from a top university who happened to be a proud Filipino-American. The professor, a calm and articulate woman, came out, and the atmosphere in the studio was palpably different. She started by explaining the science behind accents. She talked about phonetics, how our mouths and tongues are trained from birth to produce specific sounds, and why it is incredibly difficult to speak a new language without a trace of our native one. She made it clear that having an accent has absolutely nothing to do with a person's intelligence, competence, or worth. Then, she turned the tables in the most brilliant way. She said, "You know, everyone has an accent. You have one. I have one. It's just that, in a dominant culture, one accent is considered standard or neutral, while others are labeled as different or foreign." To demonstrate her point, she asked the host a simple question. "Could you please try to say this common Filipino phrase for me?" "Magandang umaga po." The host, looking a little nervous, tried to repeat it. "Magan? Dang. Umaga po?" The pronunciation was clumsy. The cadence was off. The professor gently corrected him, breaking down the syllables. He tried again and again. It was awkward. He was fumbling. And in that moment, the entire studio audience and everyone watching at home saw the reversal. The man who had so confidently mocked another's accent was now struggling to pronounce a simple phrase in their language. The professor didn't mock him. She was patient and encouraging. But the point was made, loud and clear. It's easy to make fun of something you don't understand. It's much harder to walk a mile in someone else's shoes, or in this case, to speak a mile in their tongue. She then asked him to try a more complex sentence in Tagalog. The host's attempt was even more jumbled, and he eventually laughed. But this time it was a laugh of humility, not arrogance. He threw his hands up and said, "Okay, I get it. It's really hard." The professor smiled and said, "Exactly. Now imagine doing that every single day, in a high-pressure job like nursing, where clear communication can be a matter of life and death. That's the reality for millions of Filipino healthcare workers around the world. They master a new language and a new culture to care for us. The last thing they deserve is to be mocked for it." The impact of that segment was incredible. The host offered a sincere, heartfelt apology, not just to the nurse he had mocked, but to the entire Filipino community. He thanked the professor for educating him and his audience. The clip of this exchange went even more viral than the original offensive one. But for all the right reasons, people praised the show for handling the situation with grace and for turning a moment of ignorance into a powerful lesson in empathy and respect. This story is a powerful reminder that our words have weight. A throwaway joke for one person can be a painful insult to another. It highlights the casual prejudice that people with accents face every day. But more importantly, it shows the power of education and dialogue. Instead of just canceling the host, the community demanded accountability, and the show responded by creating a platform for a real, meaningful conversation. It was a master class in how to handle a public mistake. You own it, you learn from it, and you do the work to be better. The host, to his credit, seemed to take the lesson to heart. In subsequent shows, his humor was noticeably more thoughtful. He even did a follow-up segment celebrating the contributions of Filipino immigrants in America, especially in the healthcare field. It was a humbling moment, a slice of live TV that showed that it's never too late to learn, grow, and change your perspective. And it all started because a community stood up and said, "Our accents are not your punchline." It's a testament to the fact that when we speak up against ignorance, we can create real, positive change. Thank you so much for watching. What did you think of this story? Have you ever experienced or witnessed accent shaming? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from you, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more stories like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one.